and the relationship has become a lot harder than you would have expected. The intimacy has declined. There seems to be more aggravation than before because things aren't being resolved. You've confronted issues that aren't being repaired. This builds frustration and disappointment, and the disappointments are growing by the minute. Sorry the background noise, we are on the bay doing stand-up paddle board exercise today out on the bay here. Thanks for coming in. And so you've confronted the issues, but it's falling on deaf ears. And we've all experienced this in one way or another. And some of you have had to condition yourself in such a way as you can tolerate the stuff that you don't like, all this bad behavior. And the behavior is what the other person is doing. And a lot of the time they're doing it to themselves. And it's the self-abuse that gets to you mentally. This is where your disappointment's coming from, because you're trying to have a relationship with somebody that can't even really look after themselves. They're a fiend. They might smoke like a fiend, they might drink like a fiend, they might lie and cheat like a fiend, and you've been micro-incrementally, progressively conditioned. They do it in small increments and they test you to put up with this, and as you put up with more and more of it, it's gotten worse and worse. So what's the key to this? Well, the key was to confront the issue at the start, before the issue confronted you. Confront the issue before the issue confronts you. But you've tried to find a way of weaving yourself around it all to avoid a confrontation. But unfortunately, where dysfunction prevails, where our mental health starts to suffer, we've got no choice, we have to confront the issue. Can you please not drink as much as what you do? The disappointment associated with that is you shouldn't have to ask, could you? You shouldn't be put in a position of discomfort where you feel like it's really something you shouldn't have to ask about. Like, we're dealing with adults what are appearing to be adults by age, but they haven't personally developed. They're just trapped on the carousel of following their pleasure signals. So if they want to have a smoke, they have a smoke. They call it addiction, they make up excuses. And in some ways it is an addiction that they've brought on themselves. But you can, if you have the self-determination and self-value, get away from those habits. It's going to take a lot of pain, a lot of work. You've got to reverse your way out. Sort of looking in the rear vision mirror, as it were. Making sure you don't hit anything, but you will. Addictions aren't easy to get out of. But that's on them. It's not your addiction, it's theirs. But you're the one on the end of it. And this is what happens to too many people. They end up on the end of other people's problems. and they shouldn't. But we do. Okay, we do. This is where the frustrations and the disappointments and the wearing out, the resentments in the relationships are conceived. Once resentment kicks in, usually the disgruntled partner will start to source out another form of intimate supply. This is where a lot of the fence jumping begins, because they just can't fix the problem, and so they find someone that's a band-aid, that'll listen, that'll justify the way they feel, and that will grandiose the way they feel. A lot of these people know when they've got an easy catch, someone that's wounded or injured, and they will take advantage of this without any hesitation. And this is where a person goes from one problem to the next, because usually people that take advantage of people when they're vulnerable are predators to some degree or another, and after the predator has got its kill, be it 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4, 5, 1 year, predator usually moves on, and this leaves the person with more mess than what they started with. It's a vicious cycle out there of intimate relational abuse and dysfunction, and a lot of it's not physical, it's just sexual, reckless sex, which has severe consequences on the mind and the soul and the spirit of those involved. And of course, in some cases where somebody gets mixed up with someone that is too possessive, it can turn violent, because when the issues aren't being resolved and someone's just lost attraction, or the problems are just too much for the other person to take, or one or the other, this is where the violence can kick in if someone doesn't want to let go. And this is where you get these terms like narcissism and all this, but it's really not what narcissism is. It's just a part of a relationship that's become disbanded and ruined, and this is how a lot of them end. So you have to confront the issue before the issue confronts you. I don't know what the issue is that you're dealing with personally, but I would suggest confront it, and if it goes on and the person doesn't like it, it might be time for you to suggest that we go separate ways. I've had these problems and lost, for some of us we wanted just the one relationship, but life wasn't going to give it to us, just wasn't going to present us with that, and therefore we ended up going from one person to the next, trying to find the one. And for some of you, you thought you did find the one, but one way or another, it just wasn't meant to be, and we shouldn't be too hard on ourselves if this happens. Confront the issue before the issue confronts you, and if it's not resolved, walk away, allow yourself time to heal. Don't look back, leave that person alone. They'll find somebody else, probably sooner than you think, and never go back.